Hi, my name's Michael D. Brown and I'm from Dorset in England. I do a harsh noise project called Fleshlicker and also run the label, design and mastering service Foul Prey. So I've always been involved in extreme music, so I guess it's just a progression from that. Yeah, when I was about 16 I was listening to mainly kind of grindcore and that kind of thing. And I think noise just came about really through trying to find more and more intense use of sound. I remember really clearly listening to the Discordance Axis demo recordings. I think they were like recorded on a boombox or something, so they are just mega blown out and trashy, noisy. And I just remember thinking, like, I'd listened to all this kind of well-produced studio recorded stuff by them before and loved it, but when I heard this demo tape, yeah, something about the kind of aggressive, immediate production of it kind of changed the way I thought about how extreme music / sound could be presented. So yeah, I remember hearing that, and basically that being like a stepping stone to looking for more stuff that was noisier. So not noise in the strict sense, but music that had a kind of production style that was as immediate and as abrasive as that, really. So yeah, I guess that was where I kind of first got into noisier stuff. In terms of straight noise, to be honest, I can't really remember what the first thing I heard was, but I've always listened to music that's kind of bridged that gap between noise and music. So stuff like Early Swans, and yeah, I guess that probably answers that question. I first started, I'd say, dabbling in noise in about 2004, somewhere around there. The stuff that I was doing then was like really primitive synth drones mixed with, I had this like little dictaphone that I'd take about and record very simple kind of nondescript, I guess, field recordings, and then I would like come home, record everything to tape and collage things together on the computer and things. They were like, it was like really rudimentary sound collage stuff, I guess. Not at all abrasive, but yeah, kind of primitive sounding. I didn't really consider what I was doing at the time to be anything related to noise. To be honest, I'm not sure really why or how I ended up doing it. I know bands that I'd been in previously had kind of, we dabbled with putting in these kind of like interludes, I guess, roughly similar to this. So I think it was probably just like a way for me to find something creative to do kind of on my own. In terms of like what I'm doing now, harsh noise, that all really came about through the last kind of, must be about 7 years. One of the bands that I was in, a band called Swallowing, we broke up, and basically that left like this big hole in my life where loud sound had this dominating presence, and I guess I missed that kind of that process of working on something that was really aggressive and physical sounding. So really it was just, Fleshlicker came about through a need to kind of create extreme sound outside of a band context. I've got the straight harsh noise side of the project and the noisecore stuff, so they're both very different in terms of how I go about putting them together. However, they both come from quite a similar foundation, in that ideas for recordings and projects come together generally spurred on by some kind of visual trigger. So I may see an image, or my mind's eye will think of an image, and then that will kind of spawn the idea for exploring within the recording. So yeah, that's kind of a side note, but in terms of actually putting the sound together, like I said, they're quite different. The noisecore stuff really is, it's recorded very much like any standard kind of music would be. Multi-track noise layered with drums and then overdubbed vocals 90% of the time. That's all kind of arranged on the computer, mixed and whatnot, like very standard. The noisecore is kind of, at the moment, I feel like it's going to take a bit of a back seat, because I feel like I've kind of said or done everything I kind of set out to do when I first started the project. So I'll still do it, but it's definitely not at the forefront of the creative process at the moment. Recently I've invested in a new live amplification rig, which it's been like a bit of a game changer for me in terms of how I not just perform the material but also record it. So previously all of my recordings had been kind of direct line in recordings, so no form of amplification was used. Essentially the music or the noise or whatever was silent until it reached the computer, which was kind of a problem for me, in that yes, that sound was abrasive and did what I thought it was meant to be doing, originally, which was to create this really abrasive textural sound. But the more I kind of thought about it, the more I realised that actually that's not necessarily what I'm interested in. It'd taken me probably about 3 years to figure that out. But actually what I'm interested in is abrasive sound that is actually loud and actually physical. So the fact that my material wasn't amplified was like a huge problem, because I think in order for something to portray a loud physical sensation once recorded, you need to have that original source actually amplified in space and captured. So basically I kind of put together this live rig, obviously to help with touring, but also it's like the main tool, I guess, in the recording studio. So now all future Fleshlicker recordings are going to be done live in a studio at extreme volumes, and that is going to be captured. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me, learning how to mic up the cabs to capture the sound how I want it to sound and whatnot. But that's really what I'm excited in doing for the future. There's a few things that I absolutely love about the new noise community that I do think make it stand out from the extreme music. I'll call it extreme music, so like punk, hardcore, metal, that kind of thing. Those communities. One of the main ones being people's enthusiasm for other people's projects. Obviously running Foul Prey, I've had some really great communication with lots of different artists. Some of them very established, others are pretty new. But one of the things that all of these people have in common seems to be this genuine enthusiasm for not just what they're doing with their own work, but what other people are producing. From my perspective anyway, that kind of mentality it seemed to be missing from the music scenes, in the bands, I guess. I don't know, but it seemed more almost competitive, in that bands were trying to garner more attention from each other, so anyway, that's one of the things, this big enthusiasm basically around the culture of noise, and also how artists' work is in dialogue with other people's in the scene. I think that's just really cool. Another big thing, massive thing really, is how inclusive I feel the community is, and that in itself, I think, creates a really kind of exciting and diverse culture, which in turn is bound to produce more interesting noise. rather than everybody being from the same kind of background or persuasion, um, with it being so diverse and with it being so tolerant of other people's, let's call it situations, um, I think it creates a community that is very um, vital and yeah, just exciting and kind of also a little bit unpredictable, which is always a good thing. So yeah, I guess one more thing that I really love about the community is quite a simple thing. It's just the people that I've spoken to or I've met. From a personal point of view, like, it's just been lovely to be in contact with some really great people, have some really nice conversations about noise and also not about noise. Um, Even though I'm speaking to people most of the time on the other side of the world, I feel like I have made true companions in them, and yeah, yeah, that's lovely. Total slitting of throats is up there for me. I don't think it was the first noise wall release I heard, but I think it's, yeah, I would say it is the most important that I've heard from a personal point of view. The the fact that it's presented as a statement of a particular methodology or mindset is just very exciting. Um, Obviously, in hindsight, this statement has become an established kind of form of noise in itself anyway. Um, Replicated like in numerous times, but yeah, this one for me, I think it just kind of stands for something that I find really really compelling, and it's definitely probably one of the most important um, pieces of sound that I've kind of listened to and thought about. Um, I feel huge like affinity towards it. So yeah, I could go on for ages gushing over it. So I'm not going to bother. You know the score with it, I'm sure. And yeah, that's killer. So that would be, yeah, I'd say that's probably top of the pile for me. Nylons of Laura Antonelli by the Rita. Just the ambition of that release, the scale of it, and also the fact that it's got this really centralized focus, both in terms of its content, its source, everything about it really is just so considered, coherent. It's just, I think it's the most articulate piece of noise I've heard in terms of its actualization of an actual interest. So there's so much, I feel, integrity in that release, and Sam's work in general. I think it's obvious to a lot of people, not just myself, that everything Sam does, it actually means something to him. It's very easy, as everybody probably knows, to create noise and kind of tack on concepts and ideas. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the fact that Sam's material, I think it's obvious with his material anyway that the content comes first rather than the result. And I mean, I've been a victim, I think, as well in the past, probably, of creating almost a result before content. And I just feel like that's very noticeable. So that's something that I've learned from Sam's material, is that, and particularly Nylons of Laura Antonelli, that the content has to come first. If the content isn't there before the product, then ultimately you can create something, that sounds great, that is interesting, but lacks any kind of integrity or truth about it. And for me now, where I'm at, that is paramount. So yeah, that release in particular, I'm just choosing that one, like I said, because it feels the most coherent and articulate version of that, really. Wince's Bullets for German Radio. I can't really describe why, other than there is something really gruff and urgent about that material. I don't think it was the first Wince material I heard, but it's definitely the first Wince material I remember feeling so strongly about. I won't go on for ages about this one, but yeah, that one, whenever I listen to it, it makes me enjoy noise. And it also reminds me of a time when I would enjoy noise out of a curiosity as well, which is something that's gone over recent years, because obviously I've listened to so much noise now that, that curiosity around projects is pretty much gone. But for me, for some reason, that tape, it brings back that kind of excitement about discovering noise again, and just this curiosity about what noise is and what it can be. So yeah, they're my top three today anyway. Gonna pick two that are both friends of mine. So the first one would be Vermainen. Firstly, love this guy. One of the nicest people I've ever met. Really, genuinely talented. He'll hate me for saying all of this, but yeah, this project's a new project. Just been on tour with him. Just exciting. Like, I can't wait to see where this project goes. It's mostly tape manipulation. Is it though? I don't know. Sorry, Fee. I don't know what it is. It sounds great. Collagey, abrasive in parts, atmospheric in parts. Just awesome. Got a few tapes out. I think they're basically all self-released. I think they're all sold out as well. But Vermainen is just, as well as being a best mate, is a project that has definitely got so much room for expanding and refining and becoming a really unique voice. So yeah, check them out. And I'm sure Alistair right now is probably blushing, so yeah. Sorry, mate. Another one, like I said, another friend, another relatively new project that has done a few tapes and a couple of CDs, I think. But it's a project called Itching. It's by a friend of mine called Henry, who uses manipulated audio recordings that he's taken of his cat purring and making various sounds, I think. Again, when I was talking about there being content before product, I think this project really, really encapsulates that that philosophy. Really interesting sounding. It sounds kind of lame to say that, but it is actually interesting to listen to. I'm not 100% sure on their process and things like that. I just know that that's their source material. But yeah, really compelling listening. Seen him play live once, and it was really great. Again, lovely person, super talented, an absolute beast on the drum kit as well. Check out Itching. I'm going to pick those two mates. Go support them. I'd really appreciate it. So I've been joking about this with a couple of friends quite recently, in that I don't really listen to much music anymore. Where I would listen to noise as a certain percentage of what I listened to before, music would still make up the majority probably of what I listen to. Well, now that definitely over the last few years has flipped, and that it's mostly I just listen to noise. But when I do listen to music, it's definitely nothing new. Like, I listen to stuff that I've liked for years. My knowledge of new music that's coming out, even in genres that I like, is like pathetic, really. I just don't keep up with it, and on one hand that's kind of a shame, but on the other hand, whatever. A few artists or releases that I listen to on a regular basis would be Orteka, depending on what mood I'm in. Interpol's Turn on the Bright Lights is one of my favourite albums. Listen to that a lot. Pig Destroyer's Prowler in the Yard is just like a bit of a throwback record for me. So that will go on and I'll love it every single time. They're the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. Like, when I'm kind of in the mood, I'll listen to some early Birmingham style techno, so Regis, or female, anything kind of released on Downwards, really. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, can't really think. Sorry if that's a really lame answer, but yeah. It's like a real simple one. Basically, just being outdoors, walking with my dog and my partner or my family and friends and that kind of thing. Just, yeah, just taking in the British countryside, really, that's, other than noise, that is my biggest passion in life. Um, I think I'm so spoilt where I live in that it's easy to access incredible places um, in nature that are away from a kind of tourist destination. So I can go places that are still very natural, and I think just being around nature, the trees, the wildlife, just the general um, peace and calm that brings you is just like an amazing antidote to the everyday. So if I could make that more a part of my everyday, all the better. So yeah, like I said, walking my dog, that kind of thing. That's my biggest passion outside of noise. So yeah, thanks.